Hello and welcome to Mooncat Yoga. My name's Georgie and today we are going to be focusing on happy hips. So some nice postures, some asana to really try and create some openness within the hips. So stretching through the front of the hips, so along here where we have our hip flexors, and also the sides of the hips here. So stretching, strengthening, and hopefully at the end of this practice you will have very happy hips. But let's just start as we do in our classes in Glasgow, sitting in a lovely seated position. You do have that option to sit on a block. If you don't have a block, then please you can have either a bolster, maybe a cushion, maybe a rolled up towel, and again if you don't have blocks or bricks, a nice big cookbook or encyclopedia will work just as well. But I like to sit on the block. It just helps to elevate those hips, creates a little bit of space around the hip and also the lower back. But let's just take a few moments to just settle onto our mats and into our practice. So I invite you to either close your eyes or soft focus. And let's just begin by observing the breath. So without changing the breath in any way, just observing, noticing, are you able to inhale and exhale through your nose? How deep is your breath? How shallow is your breath? How fast is your breath? And then perhaps noticing where you're breathing. So are you breathing into your belly today? Maybe you're breathing into your rib cage. Maybe you're breathing into your collarbones. So if you're breathing into your collarbones, let's try and move that breath down into the rib cage or into the belly. So some nice slow breaths. And let's bring some movement with that breath. So on your next inhale, taking the arms to the side of the body as we inhale, touching the tips of the fingers, and then exhaling all the way down. So just continuing to your own breath, that inhale, synchronizing the breath with the movement, that dance between movement and breath and the mind. And maybe you want to start moving your gaze upwards, but just see how that feels in your neck. And even if it's just your gaze, so moving your eyes up instead of your neck, just moving that gaze up a little. So just two more. And last one. Lovely. Let's take a little twist. So we inhale, lengthen, and exhale, twist to the right. So nice, sitting up lovely and tall, nice lengthened spine. So either keeping your chin in alignment with your chest bone or seeing how that feels, just to maybe turn your head a little bit towards the right. And returning to center, inhaling, lengthening, and this time we're twisting to the left. And returning to center. So if we've been sat on a block, we're going to move the block to the side and start lying on our backs. So slowly coming to the back. As we draw one knee to the belly, the other knee to the belly, and let's just take some little rocks from side to side. So sometimes I find this feels so nice on the back of the pelvis, maybe even drawing some little circles around the sacrum, that space at the base of the spine, taking that one way and the other way. It's really rolling onto those little points at the back of the pelvis. Good. And then with the big toes together, so feel as though we're sticking those big toes together. We're going to take the hands to the knees, and we inhale, draw the knees towards us, and exhale, draw them wide. So hip circles. So starting to move into our hips, but only going as far as feels comfortable. So drawing circles large enough that feel comfortable, but with any sort of clunking in those hip joints. So just working into that large joint, big hip bones. One way, and then let's reverse that the other way. So keeping the chin tucked in, creating that length at the back of the neck. Nice. And returning to center. So coming to lie on our side. So let's start on our right side. So bending the elbow to support the head, we're going to bend our knees. Lovely. So we're just going to start with clam legs. So inhale, open, exhale, lower. So just again, continuing to your own breath of inhaling and exhaling. So working this time into the outside of the hip. So it's a nice external rotation of the hip, feeling the muscles on the side, maybe even at the front of the hip a little. Good. So little clam legs. So a couple more. Good. Lovely. And now we're going to straighten that top leg. So we're going to inhale, raise the leg, and exhale, lower. So really want to try nice and slowly to keep that leg in alignment with the hip. So it really doesn't matter how far you lift the leg. You might be here, you might be here, you might be all the way up here. Just working with our own bodies. Yeah. Again, just inhaling and exhaling, nice and slow, but again, really feeling that to the outside of the hip. Good. Two more. One more. Good. And bringing those knees together, rolling onto your other side. So let's start with clam legs. So again, tugging those knees in. We're just going to inhale, open, exhale, close. And just observe how one side might feel really different to the other. So this might be your slightly tighter side, this might be the side that feels a little easier, but just observing without any judgment that our bodies are not symmetrical, as I'm always saying in our classes. Good. So a few more. Maybe starting to think, oh, that feels a little bit easier now. That muscle feels like it might have relaxed a little. Couple more. And release. Good. So keeping the bottom knee bent, we're going to straighten the top leg, and again inhaling, exhaling, but kind of trying to keep that leg in a line with the hip bone. So with your own breath, nice and slow. Lovely. Again, maybe thinking, oh, that feels a little bit easier after practicing a few. So two more. And release. Well done. So slowly, using the strength of your arms, we're going to press up to seated. Coming to Dandasana, and let's just bounce those legs. Maybe even give a little bit of love to those hips, giving them a bit of a bounce, bit of a rub. Good. Well done. So Baddha Konasana. So taking the knees wide, the soles of the feet pressing together. So holding onto the ankles, sitting up lovely and tall. We're just going to take some little butterfly flutters. Just a few flutters. So hopefully the hips are feeling a tiny bit easier even after practicing just those few postures. And these are little postures that you can practice every day to encourage that really good hip health. Nice. Lovely. So keeping the right leg where it is, we're going to very gently rotate in with the left leg and then taking it out the side. So deer posture. So this feels really nice on the outside of the left hip. So it's a very strong stretch. So start with a nice forward fold. So just walking the hands forward. So this might be as far as you wish to go today, and that's absolutely fine. But we're trying to ground through the back of the body. We're not tipping forwards. We're trying to keep our sit bones, the back of the body, really grounded. And then walking the hands forwards, pressing into the back of the body. So maybe we're working to here, maybe we're even working to forehead. But just acknowledging where you are today. Good. And then walking the hand, over to the right. We inhale, lengthen, and again, exhale, fold. So really pressing that left thigh into the mat. So feeling the inner thigh really switch on. Good. Holding for another breath. And then slowly inhale, lifting all the way back up. Very gently and mindfully, we're going to lift that leg, returning back to Baddha Konasana, and you will definitely notice that you have practiced this one side and not the other. So some gentle little flutters. And then let's take that straight to the other side. So this time we're going to internally rotate the right leg. So rotating. Good. So walking the hands forwards. So maybe starting here, just allowing those muscles to soften, to release, that we're not going to cause any harm. And then maybe working to forearms. And if you can, or you wish to, maybe taking your forehead to the mat. But again, pressing through that right leg. So really trying to engage the inner thigh of the right leg. And then walking hand over hand all the way to the left. We inhale, lengthen, and we exhale, fold. So really deep breaths. So if you are feeling tension in a part of the body, really try and send your breath, your inhales into that area, and try and soften those spaces which might be a little tight. Always using our breath as a tool. And then inhale, slowly walking all the way back up, gently rotating in with the right leg. Let's just take one final set of flutters, perhaps noticing again how the hips feel. Good. And then gently helping those knees in. We're going to take Dandasana again. A few little bounces, a little bit of love to those hips before making our way to tabletop for cat-cow. So I like to pad up my knees. As anyone who comes to my class knows, I'm a big fan of knee pads. If you don't have knee pads, then a cushion or a folded up towel will work just as well. So 3 cat-cows. So with cow, the movement starts with the head. With cat, it starts with the tailbone. So let's check that alignment. Fingers nicely spread. Middle finger pointing forward. Wrists underneath shoulders. Knees stacked underneath the hips. And then inhale, the head lifts, the heart lifts, the belly softens. A gentle hugging of those upper arms, shoulder blades down the back. And then exhale, tuck under tailbone, scoop in belly, lower ribs. Relax the head. 2 more, inhaling. Feeling that lovely flow through the spine. And exhale. 1 more. Lovely. So returning to tabletop, we're going to tuck the toes and peel those hips up as we slowly lift into our downward facing dog. So this might be your first downward dog of the day. So let's begin by really wrapping those shoulders, creating space in the neck, maybe paddling those heels up and down, maybe coming onto the tippy toes, sending the heels towards the ground. Good. And then slowly we're going to walk the feet towards the hands, coming into that lovely relaxed ragdoll. Perhaps holding the outside of the elbows, having a little sway. It's really nice before we start our standing sequences, just to set the body in a lovely relaxed way. And then releasing the arms, ground through the feet, so really grounding through as we inhale, lift up with strength. Inhaling, inhaling, inhaling. And exhale, hands to heart center. Good. So Surya Namaskar A, Sun Salutation A. So this is just a nice way to bring some warming energy to the body. So coming to the front of our mats, we inhale to lengthen and exhale to fold. Inhale, lifting halfway, shoulder blades down the back, and exhale, folding, plant the hands, step back to plank. So nice strong plank, so pressing away from the mat, tucking the tailbone under, heels to the back of the room, and then inhale, expand the upper back, exhale down the knees, the chest, the chin, keeping those elbows tucked in tight, tight, tight to the body. Pressing the pubic bone to the mat, we slide the hands forwards. As we inhale, pull forwards and up for your choice of back bend. So we might be working to Sphinx, maybe baby cobra, maybe cobra. So whatever feels really nice for you today. I think I'm going to work with baby cobra today. And then slowly lowering, plant the hands, lifting to knees, downward facing dog, or straight to downward facing dog. So we're going to build in a little lunge here, a nice high lunge. So lifting the right leg, we're going to step it through. Pivot down with the back heel. As we inhale. So really encouraging those hips forwards. So either on the back heel or maybe even taking it to tiptoes. Good. So squeezing that left glute, you will feel that really strong stretch through the front of that left thigh. So inhale, lengthen, exhale, plant the hands, step back again to downward facing dog. Let's take that to the left. So inhale, raise the left leg, exhale, stepping it through, either pivoting down onto the back heel or staying up onto the tiptoes as we inhale for high lunge, this time to the left. So squeezing the right glute, heart lifted, release those shoulders. Inhale, lengthen, exhale, plant the hands, step back to downward facing dog. Inhale as we step, jump, hop, walk to the front of the mat, lifting halfway. Exhale to fold. Inhale as we lift to rise. And exhale, hands to heart center. Nice. So let's turn sideways on our mat. Goddess pose with 6-way breath. So feet are approximately 10 to 2. So just bend those knees. So wherever your knees are moving, that's the direction of your feet. Hands to heart center. So with 6-way breath. So you have the option to stay down throughout, or we will lift up and down. So inhale, exhale, inhale, exhale, inhale. Soft wrists, index finger pointing upwards as we exhale. Again, inhale, exhale, inhale, forwards, exhale, inhale, exhale. One more round. Inhale, exhale, Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale, taking the hands to heart center, taking the toes forwards, taking a moment before we step back to the front of the room. Good. So a nice sequence now where we're going to practice Ekapada Utkatasana. So this is a balance. So we really want to be able to find our focus here. So let's start at the front of our mat with chair pose. So we inhale to chair pose, keeping that tailbone tucked under. Good. And then again, pouring the weight into that right leg. We inhale with the left and exhale, taking the ankle to the right thigh as we exhale, sit back. So Ekapada Utkatasana. And then inhale, all the way back to one-legged Tadasana. With control, we step all the way back to our Warrior A. Good. So cactus arms. So taking the arms in cactus. We're going to inhale, squeeze those shoulder blades together, and exhale, close. Inhale, squeeze, squeeze, squeeze. Exhale, close. Two more. Inhale, squeezing. Exhale, one more. Inhale. Exhale. Returning to Warrior A. Sweeping the hands behind, linking the fingers. We inhale, lengthen, and exhale into Humble Warrior. So taking the right side of the ribs to the right thigh, relaxing the head, maybe taking the arms up and overhead. So really engaging the outside of the left foot, using that breath. Good. Really breathing. And then releasing the hands either side of the front foot. We're going to step back to plank. And inhale, expand upper back. Exhale, down knees, chest, chin, and lower with control. Good. Slide the hands forwards. Inhale for a back bend. Exhale, lower. Plant the hands, lifting to downward facing dog. Very good. So raising the right leg. We're going to bend the knee and send the right foot towards the left hip. So for a lovely hip opener. Good. Breathing. Inhale as we step it all the way back through. Pivot down with the back heel. Inhale, returning to the Warrior A. And exhale as we step forwards. Well done. So let's take that all to the other side. So we'll take Utkatasana and then Ekapada Utkatasana. So inhaling, holding it here. This time we're going to pour all the weight into the left leg as we lift up the right, crossing the leg over the left thigh, sitting down, hands at heart center. So finding that focus. And then inhale to one-legged Tadasana as we step back with control all the way to our Warrior A. So checking that hips coming all the way forwards. Good. Cactus arms. So hands in cactus. Inhale, open. Exhale, close. Inhale. Exhale. Inhale. Exhale, one more. Inhale, squeeze, 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 squeeze. Exhale, close. Turning to Warrior A. Sweeping the hands behind, link fingers the opposite way. So the way that doesn't feel quite as natural or as comfortable. And then we're going to inhale, lengthen. And exhale as we lean forward, laying the left ribs along the left thigh. Maybe taking your arms up. Just seeing how that feels. Nice breaths. Slowly moving the hands either side of the front foot, stepping back to plank. Inhale, expand upper back, exhale down, knees, chest, chin, lower with control. Pubic bone to the mat. Inhale, lifting up for your choice of back bend. Exhale, lower. Plant the hands and lifting all the way to downward facing dog. Good, a couple of breaths. So this time I'm going to raise the left leg, bending the left knee, taking the left foot towards the right hip for that lovely hip opener. Good. And then slowly sending that left foot forward, pivot down to the back heel as we inhale once again to warrior A. And exhale to the front of the mat. Well done. So just take a moment in Tadasana. Maybe even thinking about closing the eyes, feeling the heart beneath the thumbs. Focusing once more on the breath. Feeling that connection with the earth beneath the feet. Let's take another big lovely inhale. And then exhale, lower the hands and blink the eyes open. So we're going to roll down. So I like to imagine we're like a fern leaf. So let's ground through the feet. We're going to start by tucking in the chin and slowly working one part of the spine at a time, hugging in the belly to protect the lower back, just lowering all the way back down. Allowing gravity to ease us into that fold, softening the knees. Let's take a breath here. And then plant through the hands, bending the knees, step back to downward facing dog. So pigeon. So we're going to inhale, raise the right leg, and then exhale as we take the right knee to the outside of the right wrist. And then lowering the left leg, flattening the foot. So pigeon pose, very strong on the hip. Now, this is where pillows and blocks come in. If you're finding this is really quite strong, I'm just going to face the camera here. If you're feeling this is quite strong on this hip, you can start to pad up that hip. And this is where a bolster is really nice. So we can place that bolster under that hip and really support that joint. Okay, so we're going to come up onto those fingertips, so either using a bolster or a cushion or a blanket if you wish to, keeping the pelvis nice and stable as we start to move onto our hands and then maybe forearms. See how that feels? Keeping the pelvis aligned, nice and straight. And then maybe stretching those hands all the way forwards and forehead to the earth. So this will be a very, very deep stretch within the right hip. So again, use that breath. Send the breath to the right hip, softening. I always say to my students, this is one of those postures that you either absolutely love or you find a little bit gnarly. And I have to say, I find it a little bit gnarly, but I also know it's incredibly good for my hips, which is why I practice it. So let's just take another breath. And then inhale, slowly walk the hands all the way back in. If you're using a bolster, move that to the side, tuck the left toes, and lifting with strength all the way back to downward facing dog. So let's just take a little movement of those heels up and down. And again, you will definitely feel you've done this one side and not the other. So let's even up those hips. So we're going to inhale, raise the left leg, Exhale, left knee to the outside of the left wrist. Lowering the right leg. So here on this side, it might feel really nice having a bolster. We're not symmetrical, so one hip might feel very different to the other. But trying to keep those hips in a nice straight line to avoid collapsing onto that right side. So staying here, and then maybe walking to forearms, seeing how that feels. And staying here, or stretching the hands forwards, forehead to the earth, and breathing this time into that left hip, so that deep stretch within that left hip. Big breaths. If you have Ujjayi breath in your practice, this is one of those poses that Ujjayi breath will feel really nice. A few more lovely deep breaths. Good. And then inhale, slowly walking the hands all the way back in. Tucking the right toes as we step all the way back to downward facing dog. Let's again have a little bounce of those heels up and down before making our way onto our knees. And exhale, press back to child's pose. So encouraging either those knees wide or together, especially if you've got anything going on with the lower back. And really stretching those hands forwards, heels coming down. Excuse me, not heels, the hips coming down onto the heels. And just some nice, deep, slow breaths. Nice. So a few more really nice deep breaths, really filling the air at the back of the body, the lungs at the back of the body, feeling them expand. And then breathing into the side of the ribs, so feeling the sides of the ribs expand. And then slowly walking the hands all the way back in as we make our way to seated. So we're going to come down onto our backs now, just for a couple of little cool down postures, a nice twist and happy baby just to align the pelvis. So using the strength of your arms, we're just going to lay down. Start by hugging the knees in, taking a little rock from side to side, maybe drawing some circles around the sacrum one way and then the other way. Good. And then returning the feet to the mat. So here we're going to take a nice twist. So either feet together, knees together, or feet hip width if you've got anything going on with your lower back. So tucking the tailbone under, arms lovely and wide as we exhale slowly over towards the right. So this is where we want to really soften the body, coming into some nice restful part of the sequence. So softening around the left hip, the left side of the waist, the rib cage, the chest, the collarbone, the left shoulder, all the way down the arm to the tips of the fingers of the left hand. Now soften and relax. Having a few breaths. And then slowly inhale back to center, tuck the tailbone under again, and this time we're going to twist over as we exhale to the left. So this time focusing on softening the right hip, the right side of the waist, the chest, rib cage, collarbone, shoulder, all the way down the right arm to the tips of the fingers, softening and relaxing. Nice, slow breathing. Always coming back to the breath. And then inhale back to center, tuck the tailbone under. So we'll finish with happy baby. So you have two options here. So we're going to start by drawing the knees to the belly and then bending the knees and flattening the feet as though we're standing on the ceiling. So either holding the back of the thighs and encouraging those knees down towards the side of the body, or we take the hands to the inside of the feet and then just cup the outside edges and then encouraging both knees down towards the side of the body. So keeping the chin tucked in, length lovely, spine lovely and long. So really trying to encourage the base of the spine into the mat. So try not to lift those hips. And maybe you want to play around with a little rock from side to side. And then releasing the feet. We're going to come to lie on the mat. So whatever that means for you, so whether you want to lie full length with your feet as wide as the mat, arms out to the side of the body, or maybe it feels nicer for you to bend your knees, feet flat with your tailbone tucked under. But I invite you now to just come to a lovely, comfortable, restful position with your eyes closed or soft focus. And just really softening the breath, focusing on the breath. So really visualizing those inhales and exhales as a glowing wave of warming, cozy energy flowing from your head to your toes as you inhale, and then flowing from your toes to your head as you exhale. So continue focusing on this wave of life flowing to your toes and then all the way back to your head. And as every wave passes through your body, you feel more relaxed. Your body feels heavy and it feels soft. So continue breathing. Flowing energy, and with every breath feeling parts of your body soften, your shoulders, your collarbones, your hips, your knees, your ankles, your feet, your neck, the length of your spine, your right arm, your left arm. So continue a few more breaths. So your body is now filled with that glowing energy. So slowly bringing some movement back to the body. So perhaps wiggling fingers and toes, moving the head from side to side. Maybe you want to stretch your arms above your head, stretch your toes. So doing whatever feels lovely for you before very slowly making your way to a comfortable seated position with your palms at heart center in Anjali Mudra. So with our palms, we then take the thumbs to that space between our eyebrows, the third eye, Ajna. And let's just take a moment in gratitude for someone or something in your life today. And then returning the hands back to heart center as we seal this time we spent together with a namaste. Inhaling and exhale, namaste.
As we bow forward, namaste.
So thank you for joining me for this practice, and I very much hope that your hips will be feeling happy after this. Any comments, any feedback, just pop them in the box below, and I hope that you enjoyed this video and that you enjoy any of the others which I have now on my page. So thank you for joining me for this practice. Namaste.